Welcome to the Raw Spotlight Podcast, a series where we share our perspective on leadership, entrepreneurship, and the ever-evolving world of digital marketing. I'm Emily Au, co-founder of Ready Artwork, joined by my business partner, Victor Huynh. Let's get started with the show. All right, so today we're going to talk about EEAT and how it works, why it matters, and how to build content and author profiles that meets its standards. So let's start from the beginning. For our listeners who may be hearing EEAT for the very first time, what exactly does it stand for and why has it become so important, especially now with so much content online? Victor, why don't you give it a go on explaining what EEAT stands for?
Sure. So EEAT is an idea or a framework that Google kind of rolled out, and it's been adopted by the search industry and now the AI search industry as a whole as an agreed upon framework to use when coming up with content, right? And so what does it stand for? Now, this is a tongue twister. I always have a hard time pronouncing it. So EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, right? So those are the four concepts that you want to think about when you're creating content.
Yes.
So what does experience means? So for example, do you want to hear from someone about crab if they've never eaten crab or have never experienced, something like that, So that's kind of a simplified version of what experience means, right? You want to make sure that whoever's talking has actually firsthand experience. So
real world familiarity with the topic that we discussed.
Correct. Right. You don't want someone talking about fixing a car if they've never done it before.
Right. Makes sense.
So that's the first one, right? And there's ways to kind of, talk about that and kind of talk about your experience and how many years you've been doing something, right? The second one is expertise.
Okay.
So a dentist talking about dental care, right? So that experience, right, goes into like, do they really know what they're talking about, right?
So when you talk about dentists, it'll be kind of like where they go to school, where did they get their license from? What are the credentials backing all of that?
Right, the expertise, right? So experience, expertise. So you want to make sure you have an expert, right? You don't want like someone that has maybe they brush your teeth before, but now they're teaching you what you're supposed to do with your teeth, right? Just things that make sense, but then how do you establish that in terms of your expertise, right? Like you want a developer that has 5 years, 10 years of experience to teach you about coding. You don't want someone that's also watching YouTubes and learning as they go and then teaching you what's going on, right? So experience and expertise. Now, authoritativeness is really now getting into more technical things. Like, so for example, does this person have a website? And does the website itself have backlinks from high authority sources, right? So does the American Dental Association link back to this dentist, right? Does any of the big brands like Colgate or Crest or anything link back to this guy or gal,
like
right?
Their reputation.
Correct. Their online reputation. That's what it's referring to when it talks about authoritativeness, right? Do they have a YouTube channel where they talk about things, and do people have positive things to say about them, right? Because you don't want them to have a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of negative things that saying they're fraud, they're fake, and all this other stuff, right? So it looks for all these little factors to establish whether or not there's authority there or not, right? Aside from expertise and experience. The last one is really about trustworthiness, right? So this one is a little bit more simpler. Do they have a clear bio? Do they have a LinkedIn profile, right? Is whatever they posting up to date? We talked about Google Business Profile in another episode where freshness of content, right? So are those more basic technical things set up properly to establish that trustworthiness? Like, would you trust someone that had a 1-star review on Google? Right? Or had 0 pictures, 0 headshots, I don't know if this person exists or is it a troll account.
Right.
So these are some of the things that, once you break it down, it makes simple sense. But you think about it, a lot of blogs are not written in this format or with these things in mind, right?
Mm.
They're just kind of written. Even though someone with authority has given that information, that person's picture never shows up, their LinkedIn never is included. There's very, very little ranking factors that go into all this stuff, right? We don't talk about this person's credentials. We just put content out there.
Right.
And I think because we don't look at it from this lens, we don't think of it this way. But now once you have it as a structure, as a framework, then it makes a lot of sense, right? Because we need to tell the world and tell the digital world about who's talking about this and why should we listen.
Right. So it's, in short, for someone that have EEAT, you're really backing that piece of content that you're publishing online, where this is my high value, high quality, trustworthy content, and separate this from the low value, sloppy content out there that might be just randomly created in like quantity by, AI.
Right. Right. So for example, I don't want a ghostwriter out there representing my face and just putting out crap, because I've been in the industry for 20 years, right? And now that my face is on it, there's a little bit more pressure to put out better content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for all that explanation. Now, for listeners that are B2B, in B2B space, how do you build EEAT into a real content or SEO strategy?
Yeah. So your content strategy is going to be really important, right? As I mentioned, we have a lot of clients, and and this is just from personal experience. A lot of our clients are introverts. They don't like the limelight. They don't like to be in the front of the camera or be noticed, right? They just want to do good work or make good products, whatever it is, right? So, the first thing is really to get them to put their face out there, right? Put the CEO or put the engineers, put whoever it is out there and go, hey, now this content is going to be represented by you, right? We're going to have to now set up your profiles. We're going to have to make sure that everything's coming from a real person. And you are the expert. They are experts. And we work with some really, really, really intellectual people, like very smart people, but they don't like to take credit for things, right? So we need to get them out of their comfort zone. And this applies to, I would say, I don't know if I have an outgoing B2B client, right? Very few, right? So that's the first thing. And how does that help, right? All of a sudden we're telling the world that, hey, Dr. So-and-so is now putting out good content, and and then now that builds authority and that builds trustworthiness, EEAT. We're now winning ranks. We're winning not just ranking, but we're winning real fans, and real customers are now noticing this good content. So for sure, it's a really big piece of our B2B strategy.
Okay, so that pretty much summarizes by making sure that every piece of content, blog or article, there's someone backing that piece of information, right? So like author attribution.
Correct. Yeah. Now, aside from blogs, right, or just general knowledge, for B2B, a really big one is case studies.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So how was my firsthand experience of how I solved the problem for my clients, right? What was that process like? What are some examples, screenshots, pictures, things like that? Those are going to establish EEAT, right? So the case studies, the blogs, the product pages, product category pages where there's a lot of technical jargon, right? All those written in the EAT format are gonna be super, super helpful for establishing B2B marketing program.
Right, because that really shows that you guys are the deal that went through real world experience in that particular project.
Right. And then some of the other pieces, like more technical, like we talked about, like the authority, the backlinks, those are things that we do on the back end. We don't expect the clients to kind of go figure out which is the best website and who to negotiate with to get a backlink, or setting up the proper metadata so that it gets crawled properly. Those are all things that we help the client with, but the biggest piece is getting them out of their comfort zone and putting their face out there.
Right. Yeah. So looking ahead, in how EEAT is evolving, what should B2B marketers and organizations be doing as we're heading into 2026 now?
So what they should be doing is really thinking about how user behavior is changing, right? So, we all kind of heard the term SEO, and it's been around for over a decade, longer than a decade, right? But right now, the biggest shift in 2025 and going into 2026 is that now there's this whole shift in user behavior. People are going to ChatGPT, and even if they're not big AI adopters, it's coming into their lives, whether they like it or not, right? The Google AI overview is forcing even if you say, I don't hang out on search engines, I go straight to Reddit. Reddit has AI overviews now, right? So everyone is integrating AI, whether you like it or not. So how your business is presented and how people form opinions about you is happening, whether you like it or not. Just like in the early days of Yelp, people are like, I hate Yelp. Those reviewers are crazy. I don't want to deal with it. You know what? Even if you hate it, someone's going to go create a profile of you out there, and people are going to leave reviews, whether you like it or not. So you either embrace it and claim the account and manage it properly, or you just let people just say whatever about you out there. It's kind of turning into that right now, right? So make sure that you're managing it, right? Your Google business profile, all the profiles out there, your reviews, and even AI search results, right? You could be non-existent, but it doesn't mean that there's no negative comments out there, right? So it's kind of a blend of what's happening with social, with reviews, with Google search. So I would say, even if you're not actively using search yourself or AI yourself, it's happening. Your customers are using it, no matter what the age range is. It's getting bigger, right? We're seeing a shift in percentages uses from Google versus other LLMs. But what we do know also is that it's not that Google's search volume is going down. The percentage are changing, but searches in general are exploding. So there's a lot more total searches online than there was pre-AI or even 2025, right? It's been growing exponentially.
Okay. Here's a side question that if I were a CEO or even a CFO of a B2B business or organization, I'm probably listening to this and I'm probably thinking, Victor, I'm very busy with my job. You want me to become a blogger and writer now? What are some of the tips that you have, Victor?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do, right? If it's leveraging AI to help you form ideas, or even having AI do first drafts, right? There's this whole debate right now whether to use AI or not when it comes to content. We're in the camp where we say use with caution. Definitely there's a lot of benefits to AI in terms of productivity, but there's also a lot of hallucination happening. So if you want to just use a light version of it, just start there. But as you get a little bit more advanced, you can create like custom GPTs, or there are even more advanced ways where you can create a RAG pipeline where you're feeding your past content or your internal company content as a database for it to pull from. so it doesn't hallucinate as much. It doesn't pull up random things that I found on Google and tries to write an article for you. So I would say leverage AI with caution to help with productivity, but you really need to get out there and put your brand out there, right? If you ignore it, people are just going to move on without you. Changes are going to happen faster than you realize it. Or hire help, right?
Right.
That someone that can interface with you, or hire an agency, right? We do help that a lot of clients with that. Kind of awkward plug here, but there are a lot of different options. That's what I'm saying.
A lot of creative ways. Yeah, absolutely. Final question: if a B2B company could only take one step today to improve their EEAT, what should they be doing?
Change your author profiles. I mean, I think that's a big one, right? If you have a blog already and you have content already,
right,
go create real people author profiles on your blogs, right?
That makes sense, because we come across a lot of company website where the author of the blogs are like marketing team or SEO
unknown
team. Yeah, or you're right, unknown, right.
Maybe we could give a bonus. What's the one that we use? Was it Gravatar?
Yeah, there's Gravatar. It's very compatible with WordPress websites as well. So Gravatar is a great way to start to set up your profile. I know we made another episode previously on LinkedIn as well, talking about the importance of LinkedIn. So making sure that your LinkedIn profile as well as your Gravatar profile is consistent in terms of the information, the way your name is spelled, where you're working at, and so forth, making sure all that information is consistent. Yeah.
So that's a little bonus freebie there. Look into Gravatar, create a bio, author bio there, and then link it up. We built a lot of WordPress sites, so that's something that worked for us. Yeah.
All right. Great. Thanks, Victor. Thank you so much for explaining what EEAT is. It isn't just a Google acronym. It's really a roadmap for trust, authority, and lasting growth. And that should be everything that B2B should be focusing on. To our listeners, if you're running a B2B business or managing digital strategies for your firm, and you want to help with applying EEAT right away, check us out at readyhour.com. From site structure to content to SEO, we're here to help you build that trust for your customers. Subscribe to the Raw Spotlight or share this episode and let us know what other topics you would like to hear next. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Raw Spotlight podcast. We'll see you again next time. And be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.